exploration group. Today we're going to be trying out something different. So I have put here, well, as a reminder, Hill of Towie challenge kicked off a couple of weeks ago. So you can find that on WeDoWind under the Hill of Towie data space. So I encourage you all to compete in that competition on Kaggle. But in this group, what we're going to be experimenting with is Renku, which is a data science platform and should allow us to do some programming together. So right now in the chat, I'll put a link to the platform. Oh, thanks, Sarah. So yeah, if you click on that link, you'll need to sign up. And it should take you, so this is the main page. You can create an account. I've already done it, so it probably won't. So you can use like GitHub, which is what I chose, or you can do via email and password. And then you'll be able to access this page, which is where the link actually takes you. And what you can do here is connect data sets, code repositories, and then sessions. So this lets you, rather than do things locally on your computer, run Jupyter notebooks or VS Code equivalents or other like programming systems, but online. Or in fact, can I add people, or do I need to do it in the other group? Or I have to give you another link.
Or do I? Maybe I don't have to do it.
Yeah, if you've
Florian
got
have to do it.
Oh, that's what I suddenly thought. Maybe Florian has to do it. In which case, I've got a link to my group.
Florian is the doctor with his baby at the moment. He said he might come later. Can't find my password for Renku right now.
I've got a backup for this. Other link in.
Can't people see it by clicking on the link? Do they have to be logged in?
You might need to be a member. I'm not sure. Maybe. So once someone signed up, let me know if that link worked for you, and that you can access.
So I've followed that link you've put in the chat, and managed in the meantime to also create myself a user ID. So the next thing to do, I suppose, is to become a member.
So I just want you to become a member. Okay, just to clarify, can you see the launch button, or does it not show you the launch button?
Oh no, I've got the launch button.
Charlie, just the experience that we had last week testing it at the Task 43 meeting, I don't think people needed to create an account in order to be able to launch it. I think everybody should try to launch it. We had some problems with many people using it at the same time, which I'd like to see if we've got now or not. I really don't think people had to log in.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
So I could click on launch without logging in. I'm just forgotten my passwords. I'm trying to reset it, but then it says that the session you're trying to open is not available.
Yeah.
So mine's taking a bit of time to launch. Is anyone else in the waiting for it to launch?
Me too. I've just got the same thing that's on screen right now, just that spinning disk.
Yeah. Oh, it's experimental, so we'll see how it goes. So to give you some more background here, previously we ran the Kaggle challenge, and that with that challenge you can create code and run it, but it was Kaggle set up for very specific objectives, so like trying to determine a value and then assessing it based on trying to forecast the value and then assessing it based on a set criteria like mean absolute error or something like that. You've got a leaderboard and everything. With this, then the idea is it's a data science platform, so you can do much more exploratory analysis and work together at the same time, and then submit changes of the code to GitHub, for instance, and then these packages will automatically update based on those changes. And it means that you don't need to set everything up on your own PC to run things, in theory.
And it means if somebody wants to reuse it, they can go to the Renku project and it will work, rather than usually when you go to GitHub and you get some code, you spend about 1 million years trying to get it to work, theoretically.
Yep, theoretically. So it should be loading any moment now to show that it's very simple and easy to use.
Thanks, Charlie, for the explanation. I think mine's loading as well. Just sort of like, this seems like quite a tight-knit group. So I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Shahir. I used to work with Charlie in Cubico. I'm still in Cubico. I think Charlie has moved on. I'm the head of data here, and very recently I was going through our open data policies and trying to see if we can release more data. And that's kind of like when I got back in contact with Charlie and heard about this group, and I thought that I might just join 1 or 2 meetings just to see what you guys do, what you look into, and basically how some of the open data gets used.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't talk very much right now, but I'd love to talk more about doing some stuff on WeDoWind after you've had a little look around everything.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for introducing yourself, Shahir. And good to see you on one of these calls.
Mine's loaded now too.
Mine made it to 2 containers and then it failed again. It seems like okay. It seems like this platform doesn't like me. Now I've logged in with my GitHub account. Maybe it likes it would give priority to a logged in account or whatever.
Yeah. And then once you do get things launched, then there's on the left-hand side, you click the folder icon. If it doesn't appear automatically, a Start Here folder. And then if you open that, then there's a Jupyter notebook called Calmash. And you can double click and like that. Well, one thing that I'd advise when you do get to this stage is switching the kernels. So it's set up for Python 3, but actually we've got an ODE space Python environment. And that one should have everything set up already to run. And then if we click run, we'll see what happens. It's done the first cell block, so that's good. Has anyone else managed to get it to launch? Still waiting.
Yeah, I'm exactly where you are.
Oh no, now I'm in.
So the first time this runs, it will take a little bit of time because it's downloading data into the data folder. But once that's done, you can change this to false, and then it should be much quicker on the next run.
Charlie, when you say downloading, it's actually the server to get the original raw files, or?
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to Zenodo. So following this link.
I'm Charlie. Considering that I did not actually log into Renku, where is this stuff actually saved in? I mean, what I'm doing now.
So I think when you end the session or close the session, it will disappear. So effectively, it doesn't get long time saved unless you commit it. So on the left, again, I'm new to this platform too, so this is all experimental, but you should be able to commit on the side. It's gonna, oh. Let's have a look. I'm not sure why it's not. So what I expected to be able to do here was when I made a change to be able to commit it to the repository on Git. Not in a Git repository. Here we go, but it's untracked. Might have to have another play with this, but I think what you should be doing is linking this directly to the Git repository, and then when you make changes, you can commit them to Git. But for now, that bit's not working for me. Anyway,
maybe Florian will come at some point, Charlie, and help. I'm sorry, I'm not really
explain it yet. No, that's all right. So yeah, now for me at least, is run the code. Let's see that it's completed. Yep. So this is using the OpenOA library that NREL developed for operational analysis. And I can see that it's read in all the data. You can see the top or tail end of the SCADA data. So we've only read in data for 2016 to keep things simple. Got the horizontal wind speeds, wind directions, the sail position, turbine output, power output, temperature, blade pitch angle, and what's that one? It's probably just power divided by 6. Yeah. And then we can see some like key stats. And again, this is using the OpenOA library. So we've got histograms of the energy output from the plant, and then some other variables as well into annual variations. And we can plot up the data again using the structure that OpenOA has. And we've got curtailments mapped. So for me, this looks like it's a run, and it's allowed me to use OpenOA out of the box without having to install my own environment on my local PC. And hopefully everyone else has access to that as well.
Hey, Charlie, you got two different sets of names there. Is that a conversion between the two different ways you were looking at the data? Because the column headers that are looking there now look like the original headers out in the files, but the ones you showed up at the top were all converted over to the IC naming convention with the dash 25 names.
That's right. So this is, like you say, this is the raw SCADA data. So how it's been read in. This naming convention is from green bytes, because that's where the data originally came from.
Yeah.
And then when you read it into a project OpenOA, then you have to do the mappings, and then it relabels everything by the IEC standard. And that's so that when you run or when you set up or change the analysis, you do it based on the IEC headings. And then that means when you read in data from another site or a different site with different turbines or a different monitoring system, then your analysis should still run the same way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So once everything's in the project class, then everything should be with the IEC data labels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason we're testing out Renku is because we're looking at different platforms that we might want to use in WeDoWind and within the Open Data Exploration Group for basically collaborative development of code. And what we're thinking of doing is focusing on the OpenOA library initially, since that's been set up by NREL and has a community around it already, and see if we can integrate some of the analysis that we use individually, and also some of the results from the challenges that we're running in this group, to test that in this environment, and then push that into the OpenOA library if we create a new feature or similar. So while trying this out, if you can give feedback on the platform, what we like and don't like, then that would be great. And we will be running a new challenge trying to use this platform around static yaw misalignments again. But this time we're going to be getting data from 2 turbines with a known static yaw misalignment on one of the turbines, and then using that data to try and determine what the static yaw misalignments are. And that challenge should start in September. So this is effectively a preparation meeting to see if this platform is the one we want to utilize for that.
Charlie, maybe I can add. I'm about to get home, so I'll be able to turn my camera on in a minute. There's a second platform that we wanted to test today, but we didn't manage to get it set up in time, called Onyxia. But you have to communicate with the developers and stuff to get allowance to use it. So maybe we'll have that set up next time. Not sure. But it'd be nice to have 2 to compare.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what direction to go from here, but one thing I can try out is within so this start here is a new folder that we just set up to test things with. Within OpenOA, the library itself, then you can go into the OpenOA examples. And then within the OpenOA examples, you should also be able to run the analysis. For instance, this one. Oh, this does seem to have Git set up. Oh no, because I've not committed it. So what do people think of this concept of a data science platform?
Yeah, for collaborative work, especially like the OpenOA that you have running here, I never got it to run locally. So it's seeing it run here is a little bit exciting and confirms that I still have a lot to learn on getting other people's software to work. I have no problem getting mine to work, but it's
yeah,
nice to see other people's, see it running on a platform this easily.
yeah. I mean, I spent quite a bit of time setting up OpenOA where on my home computer when I was doing it. And it's getting all the like dependencies to work and things. Bit of a headache, but yeah, it's this was very simple. In fact, quite easy to set up. Have you tried this out before, Chris? Is this something you've seen?
Yeah, we tried it during the Task 43 meeting, but then for some reason it didn't work so well for me. But I think that was because there was a VS Code integration, and I thought that would be nice because I'm used to working with VS Code, and then that didn't work properly. Yeah, I think this is nice to get like quickly into something without having to do lots of setup work. I think if I was going to spend a lot of time on a project, I'd rather set it up in my local environment to work like faster and with all my kind of other types of tools and integrations I already have set up, and I get the feeling it would be running like a bit faster if I have things locally compared to this. But I think for jumping in and out of things quickly, and especially if you're like, if it's something that you're not completely familiar with, like, because I work with Python environments all the time, that would be easy for me, but someone who doesn't, to set it up locally would probably be quite a hurdle, or could be.
It's interesting what you say, actually, because we've talked to people before who, like, you know, data scientists, machine learning experts who have said a similar thing, like they don't want an environment set up already because they want to do it internally. And so we're thinking about different use cases for this platform, and one of them is definitely people who don't have their own environment and are not spending all their time doing analysis. And the other use case that we were thinking of is that, which maybe you comment on as well, Chris, is if you have large amounts of data. So this case is obviously not one of the cases, but we had a different challenge. And we are going to test a second use case part of this project starting in September in a different space. We have this, some of you might know about the RTDT space we have. And we just ran a challenge where we were using high frequency acceleration data. And some of the participants said that they had problems even dealing with the data, right? And so one of the ideas was that if you do have large amounts of data that you want to work on, that could be an advantage to have it running in a platform as well. But obviously somebody's got to pay for the computational cost, and that's what we discussed as well. But it is possible to do that on the cloud and then have some automatic payment connected to AWS or something. I don't know, is that a case where you think it might be useful?
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, downloading a huge data set locally might not always be such a nice way of approaching it. And if the data set is really huge, it might actually not have that much storage.
How big is huge, Sarah? I mean, are we up into terabytes or still dozens or hundreds of gigabytes?
No, that's a good question. So we're talking about, at the moment, we're talking about data that's been stored in Zenodo, and Zenodo also has its limits on the amount of data. So the data sets we were using in this case were like 20 gigabytes. Okay. But we've written proposal to get a load more data, so basically longer measurements, where we're talking more along the lines of, I think on Zenodo you're allowed to do 100 or 200 gigabytes per measurement. So we're talking about anything that's sort of up to the range of a terabyte, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
So just kind of on the big data side of things, just as the code is flashing up and I had a little look at it, it seems to be all very much file-based. I tend to go down the SQL route. Just wondering if any thoughts on that? Does that help? Does it, or does it just add an extra headache?
It's a good question. So yeah, because we've been using Zenodo to store this data as a good platform, then all of that is file-based because it doesn't let you. Well, it's not a database connection that you have. I feel like on Renku, then you should be able to connect to. In fact, you can. Oh, here we go. I'll share my screen. So I've just created a project very quickly. Just press the plus sign and then project. Oh yeah, test description, and then you can add data sets to the repository. And here, what we did for the Zenodo dataset is you just put in the URL. So in fact, to the example here, we're switching between the two. So we've got Penman-Shields dataset. We can just copy this URL because it will keep update. And after a few seconds, it's here. And then when you launch a session, it will show that as a data set, which I'll show in a second.
That's very nice. Very easy, yeah.
Very easy, yeah. What we can also do is create a data connector. And here, well, we've got blob storage. Do we have FTP?
Yeah, you just went faster.
Was there a sequel?
I thought you said FTP.
No, I haven't seen that yet as you're sort of scrolling through.
It's alphabetical.
So it is. It should be here, shouldn't it? But yeah, it looks like it's all file-based then.
It's probably cost.
Well, I guess it's and if you can talk to an API. Well, there is HTTP, so I guess you could have an HTTP API that talks to. I guess the challenge with the database is that you would need to kind of permanently keep it up and running in case people are using it, because you wouldn't really want to have a kind of an archive database and then have to spin it up every time someone wants to talk to it. I imagine that might be a challenge, but if it's a database that's running anyway,
yeah. Well, we can
but I don't know. It could also be that
they can. Yeah.
You go, Charlie.
I was going to say we could check with the people at Renku if they can connect to a SQL database, because it feels like it should be possible. It's just not obviously available.
That's fascinating.
Well, maybe they don't permit like just any queries, because I guess with the big SQL database, someone could do something silly like querying the whole table and then
crashing it,
overload the database. Which is maybe, but I think it would be interesting to ask them, and maybe the answer would be that if you have a SQL database, you have to talk to it through an API. But I guess another.
I mean, the other
solution
possibility
for
is you've got the SQL tools available, so the SQL packages in Python.
Oh yeah,
and
Python
then
packages.
you use a another SQL server. So Google provides an SQL server. Whether you do something along those lines.
Yep.
It's just how much SQL server do you get before you have to start paying money?
Paying for it, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that might be an option.
Or otherwise, Parquet files, if you're going to stick to like data files on disk, that would be more compressed, a bit faster to read than. Because I think these data files were CSVs, or am I mistaken?
So on Zenodo, it doesn't have to be CSVs. And in fact, with these, then they're zip files that are then CSVs inside.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Let's find one though that's.
So did it just actually import all the data into a Parquet type format or something when you created that data connection? Or what's the format of the data when you, or is it just
yeah, so let me jump back to here. So once it's in here, then it's basically data frames, pandas data frames. And then in the download there, oh, hang on, let me go back to the first level. So in here, then it's extracted all the CSV files.
So I see the CSVs. So it's still they're in CSV formatted. So so it's not a logical data connection that's already imported. You'd still have to write the code to import it.
Yeah.
So like some of the files you had from the Kelmarch had like a header. There was the 5 or 6 rows from the company that exported it that you got to skip over.
Yeah. So here we've got the project Kelmarch Python file, and this is the file that does all the mappings.
Yep.
So we're like using these columns, reading them in, and then here we've got the mappings. So like nacelle, ambient temperature, from my env. Like what's quite nice about the platform though is that you do that once or someone does it once. And then as long as that's shared, then everyone can then access the data in the standardized format that everyone.
So one of the things that I'm looking at is trying to get over this step because data scientists and data manipulators this is what they do, right? They do this mapping to make the data available as data instead of just some random format, because all of the file formats have always been different. So one of the things that I'm looking at is what are the possibilities with MCP, model context protocols, and using AI tools to look at this type of data to figure out how to automatically map it over. So does this platform have any AI interface that's available?
The platform itself, I don't think does. Obviously, when you're using Python, then there's plenty of AI machine learning packages that you could use for like fuzzy logic mapping of signals.
Yeah. We can't go spin up an Olama instance on or anything, or get access. I guess we could, if you had access to one of the normal large language models, you could be able to use that.
Yeah,
like Claude or something like that.
Yeah, and with Python, well, with those large language models, then they provide, if you pay for it, an API key or connection, and you can run that in Python, for instance. So you can set up your LLM to be run in Python. Or rather, call the LLM from Python.
Brian, just to say a little bit more about this topic, because we had the Task 43 AGM last week, and then we had the technical expert meeting on AI and wind energy, and this topic came up of MCP interface. And what can I say? The general idea of what Task 43 is doing now and going to be doing in the future is definitely making a push towards this concept of making data AI ready. I wouldn't really say this is the goal right now of this data science platform here. I think the efforts are going to be kind of running in parallel. We have a PhD student starting in a couple of weeks looking at knowledge graph-based methods for virtual data and software platforms, where we hope to look into ways of integrating large language models and generative AI in general to wind energy data. It's kind of, running in parallel to this project. So, yeah, let's just see what happens. But stay in touch about that one, definitely.
Very good.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting topic. But I think what I took away as an outcome of the discussions on the second day, I wasn't attending the TEM, so I don't know what was discussed or what came out of that. But I think everyone kind of agreed that we need to build better common data models to annotate our data to really, enable.
What a surprise! Yeah, people are saying we've been saying the same thing for the last 10 years, but nobody's doing it. Yeah, no, we're doing it. So yeah, let's keep doing it.
Yeah. So I think
do stuff.
I mean, with all these tags and kind of, everyone uses different tags and so on, and I'm sure you could throw it on AI models and get pretty good results. But I don't think it would be like you'd ever get to a stage where you can trust it as completely accurate. If you have a good to do the mapping, then you could get a different level of confidence.
Yeah.
But in terms of describing data sets, Yuri shared something with me that I found very interesting the other week. I'll put a link in the chat. It's
You're going to say something about
format called croissant.
The croissant. I knew you were going to say about the croissant. He said something about. So he asked about it at the in the AGM last week, and he asked who. Oh no, at the TEM. So it was a group of people who were classified as AI experts in wind energy, and he asked if anybody knew it, and nobody had heard about it at all. So, and he's pretty convinced that this is the format that we're going to be using to be describing our data. AI ready.
I've not heard of croissants in this context.
If we just go back to this data platform thing, I'd really like to sort of summarize have some decent feedback to give back to the Swiss Data Science Centre team about this, or just for me and Charlie to also work out, are we going to go ahead with using this or not? Like, is it difficult to say because you haven't really been able to use it properly, or like, has everybody actually managed to do the same as what Charlie was doing, and does it seem to work and make sense?
Yeah, for me it's working now. It just failed loading a few times for some reason, but then I got in, I can run it, and it's.
Yeah.
I think it's great for sharing things, and like, because I would say as I said before, if I'm going to work for a day on something, then I'd probably prefer working locally or setting up a local development environment. But if I'm going to look at something for half an hour, like, this would be super useful because that saves all the time of the setup and the configuration.
I'm along the same lines. I turned 60 this year, and I can't keep up with all the new technologies. So asking me to learn yet another new platform when I'm at work having to learn brand new platforms, and I'm trying to learn new technologies, learning new platforms. I don't see myself jumping in to lead and organize files. I love following along and being able to see it real time like that. But I don't think I would be a spearhead in launching and using a common platform with other people. I'll email you my ideas, but I'll try to follow along. But it'll be more as I'd be the little dog running behind the big dogs. I wouldn't be the big dog out in front.
I think you are one of the big dogs, Brian.
So I'm curious.
You do pretty
I
well.
don't really use Jupyter in Anger, so I'm quite happy to give it a go as part of the challenge. I've edited something. I don't know whether the edit I've made is now visible to everyone. It's on that the Kelmarsh Jupyter thing. I just put in one extra line of the first block. So I know
Yep.
I can edit something that I can see and I can run. It's just whether I've trashed everyone else's code by adding an extra print statement in there. And so that would be part of the question. If we're sort of trying a challenge and we all want to try it, but a number of independent groups want to try it and have their own code, we might need just a little bit of guidance how to fork off the base code,
The main repository.
Yeah.
I was thinking that
so yes.
myself as well.
I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to have a look at the that Kelmarsh under the start here. See if my my edit has made it further than just my machine.
So I don't think it has.
Okay.
So I think the way it works is each basically, when you launch, you're creating your own session. It's like isolated to just you,
Right.
And it's only if you commit to GitHub, which I couldn't make it do, does it actually provide that update to everyone.
Okay.
And then it should be perfectly possible to make a fork from that main repository to work just on your own area.
Right.
But does that mean it's not actually, because does that mean it's not, the purpose of it is actually not at all collaborative coding, live collaborative coding? I mean, it could be static, but it's not. The idea is that everyone, I mean, maybe live collaborative coding is anyway a bit of a weird thing because people mess it up anyway, so maybe that's not there. But I don't think that's anyway really the idea of WeDoWind challenges. I think as long as people know what to do, I think all the different teams need to be separate anyway, because otherwise how can you look at the answers of the different teams? So I think it is probably, well, I don't know, maybe if some teams are working together at the same time, there's some problem with that. But I don't know, maybe we should test. Maybe, Charlie, as the next step, we should actually create the chat, like what will be roughly the challenge. Like we don't have to use the new data, or we can even maybe download some of the data, because we've already started measurements, so we could actually already prepare some smaller data set and actually set it up and then see if it works how I imagine it to work before we launch the challenge. Probably wouldn't be such a bad idea.
So I've just been clicking about, and I think, Charlie, you're right. When you log in, it opens up a session, and each one of us had that little whirling thing, and I think that's effectively files have been copied over there, and that might be why it took so long for all of our sessions to start, because if each one needs to copy all the CSV files with all the data, it's understandable. So yes, maybe this does allow us to sort of, without realizing that we've all forked off the code. We've all forked off the code.
Effectively.
I'm just curious if I can shut this thing down, log out, and see if it's still there. So if I go quiet, that's where I am.
Yeah.
One thing, Charlie, is there a governance process regarding how you commit the code, and who gets to approve each commit, so we don't just mess up
the main repository?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with GitHub, there's a process for that, and with OpenOA, then there's a governance document on how to contribute to the project. How that governance plays into the Renku system, you need to double check. But yeah, I think everyone's identified that issue that we don't want everyone just to be able to edit the same thing and save it and then overwrite what other people have done and break things.
Okay, so for what it's worth, I've logged out, logged back in again, and my edit has gone.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it most likely means I need to figure out how to save it, but that question still remains: is when I save it, do I save it in the common space or do I save it in my own version?
Yeah, in your own version. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll do. I'll do some exploration. Well, everyone can have a play over the next month or so, and I'll do some exploration with the Renku team and with Sarah and Florian on how we can fork projects and make it so people can save their work, manage things. Ah, okay. So
Florian's here. We better not say anything about him when he's here.
Yeah, I just joined a minute ago.
For me, it also says when I try to save, it says that the notebook is read only.
So yeah, I've managed to do something. So here, I've rather than let me see if this can open. Yeah. So I've created my own repository with OpenOA, so forked off OpenOA in GitHub, and then I've connected to that repository here in Code Repositories, and then I've set my environment up, and I've put in the CalMarsh data as well. And then in the environment itself, so I've got OpenOA. We can see if it runs by opening an example. Let's click run and see what happens. Should do. And then in Git, then we can see where things have been changed. And I can commit at the bottom. And here I can select my branch. So if I was setting up a new feature, I can create my own branch. It's like test during ODE. Cool. And now if I break things, I'll just see if I can get back. Oh. No files are staged for commit. How do I change the stage then? Oh, I just click the save button, I guess. Open this file. Show changes. I feel like I'm one step away from being able to commit to the repository.
Yes, you need to do. You just need to do the equivalent of a git add, I think.
Oh, here we go.
Plus, okay,
stage.
Yeah, that should be it.
So I can just right click and stage.
I think the plus sign, when you did the mouse over to the right hand side of that looks like how it works within VS Code.
Ah, cool. Yeah, and then I can commit my changes. And then we can check.
Okay, nice.
Let's see if it pushes automatically to GitHub.
Yes, there's got to be a git push there somewhere.
Ah, here it is. Is that one going to do it? We'll press it and see. Publish branch. Oh, now I'm doing it twice. Successful.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Brilliant.
So basically, you just need to connect to something that you have write permission to.
Yep. So actually, that was a lot easier than doing things locally, I'd say. It takes a bit more time to set things up. So it's all in one platform where you can set up the environment, run it, connect to code, connect to data, and commit. Yeah, maybe for the next session, I'll set up again, mini challenge and see if people can work on it and commit their solutions, and then we can compare solutions at the end of the session. Ambitiously.
That might, yeah, I mean, we could do something just as basic as plotting a power curve.
Yep.
As far as adding new libraries, is that a pip or a conda?
So it uses the, I tested this out previously. So it uses the requirements file. So let me show what I mean. So here, when you attach a code repository, then effectively it connects directly to that in GitHub. And then as long as in Git you've got a requirements file, then it will install those requirements automatically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Did they run everything on Docker containers in the background, and they have their own Renku CLI? And I think this is based on Conda. I think they do dependency management on Conda. I think I saw in the Docker file. But I mean, in the notebook, you can use pip install as well, right? With this percentage magic.
Yeah.
And then just do a pip install package.
Okay, well, there we go. Yeah. Any other feedback, questions, comments?
I don't know if has anyone else worked with GitHub code spaces. I think that's quite similar to this, and it's also kind of a nice way you can like set up an environment, change some code, and then create pull requests without having to install things locally. But what that doesn't have is the link to the data. So I think to me it seems like this Renku Lab, the data science platform, is basically kind of, it has both the data and the code parts, whereas the GitHub code space is just about the editing the code.
Yeah, I've not tried GitHub code spaces. Tried what's it, Google Colab, something like that, which again was more focused on the code side of things.
Yeah, I remember Yuri had set something up in that environment at some point, but actually, to be honest, I can't remember the details of what it looked like anymore. I think I used it once and then I've not played around with it anymore.
Yeah, so I tried it out.
With Renku, you can run any Docker container, basically. So you can provide more than just Python. So you can have Jupyter notebooks, VS codes integrated, RStudio. You can have all kinds of stuff running as a service in the background. So it allocates resources for you. The challenge owner provides that or creates this Docker container, right, with a database set up, with the Jupyter server running, what have you, and then it allocates resources and you just use it in the browser. I think that's the whole idea behind that. And I don't know if GitHub Codespaces is able to do all of this.
Well, then if we're gonna ask questions to the people behind the Renku lab, we should ask them if they support the croissant format as well, or if they can, or if they plan to. I think that would be nice, right?
Croissants sound nice, but I don't know what it is yet. So
I have to go. Charlie, let's catch up and talk about this more, about what to do for the next session.
Yep.
We'll see it next week anyway, won't we?
Yep. Yeah, but thank you all for joining, and hope you had a fun little play with that new system.
Great.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yep.
Bye.